Now I know you said that when you initially got there, they threw you in a cell and then gave you some sort of aluminum foil, like blanket. Okay. At this time, do they provide you with any information as far as like when you're going to see a judge or anything like that?
Yeah, so the next day, as they doing their roundups, like, you know, they processing people out and that nature. So, like, you know, some time went past before they even got to me. So I didn't know what was going on until like 2 o'clock that afternoon. And I had to go see my PO that same day. So, like, I know she freaking out, like, where is he at? Because my appointments usually be like around like 9, 10 in the morning. So I know she like, where am I at or whatever.
And not to cut you off or anything, but so your PO, and this is on your aggravated assault case.
Correct.
So this is on a case that you're already fighting for this versus the state, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm thinking like, man, like what's going on? Like, y'all gonna tell me something? I need to go. Like, I gotta go see my PO. I gotta at least let her know like what happened. So, you know, one of the COs coming, I'm like asking them, like, you know, y'all decide what y'all gonna do, and they were just like, yeah, man. After doing like a brief search on your background and, you know, the severity of the case, we decided that we're gonna send you to Coastal Bend. I'm like, where is Coastal Bend? They like, you know, that's jail. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, damn, fool, I'm finna go to jail type shit, like over some little petty shit, some shit that they could have easily just gave me a slap on the wrist. So after that, they put me on the sprinter, and then I went to Coastal Bend County Detention Facility.
Man, and tell me at this moment, at any time were you able to make any call home or anything, or you're the only person that still knows about this whole thing, that's aware of the situation?
I'm still the only person. Like, I'm anxious to get to a phone call and let my people know, so I can at least get my attorney on the phone. Anything I can do to get at least a bail or whatever, man.
Because McAllen, Texas, I mean, that's a pretty far drive. Correct. From Richmond or from the southwest side of Houston. Right. So I definitely can see why you're eager to get to a phone.
Exactly.
What's the treatment like as far as the guards at this holdover facility?
So at the holdover facility, I mean, they were straight. They really wasn't paying no attention really to the inmates. They were just more so focused on like their own work, like josting around with each other, sitting back, feet up, watching TV. You know, just basically just lounging around. They wasn't really doing anything. I mean, they were just straight. They just really ain't bother us and stuff like that. Only time when it was like feeding time, chow, that was it. That's the only interaction we got out of them.
And how long were you at this holdover facility?
So I was at this holdover facility probably just overnight until I got transported to Coastal Bend. So I got transported to Coastal Bend that following afternoon.
Okay. And Coastal Bend, for those who don't know, that is a county jail? Yes,
it's a detention center. So it's a FCI.
Is it only for federal inmates or is it a mixture?
It's a mixture. So like how they got their facility structure, like, you know, you got the women, it's the women's section unit, then it's like mixture, like it's state and fed, and then at the end it's just civilian, just state fed at the end. Okay.
And as far as processing goes, when they first take you in, or when you first arrive, take us through that process. What's that experience like for you?
Man, so like when I first got in there, I'm like, it's ducked off. So we not even in McAllen anymore. So we in Far Furious. We dropped from Far Furious to Robstown. So that was like a 45-minute drive, kind of like an hour, almost an hour and a half. So I get there, we get in there, and first thing we do, like, we in processing. So they bring us our trade. Remind you, this last chow. So we get there, it's like around like what, 6, 7 o'clock. So they serving last chow. You know, they feeding us. The trays, first of all, it sucked, because all we had was beans, some type of shredded chicken and rice. We had some unsweetened peaches, but by the way, the Kool-Aid was good though. Like, they actually put sugar in this shit, so that shit was fine. It was fun. But you know, they processing it in, like taking in our information, dressing us out, getting our jumpsuits, you know, getting our Crocs, you know, stripping us down, you know. That's pretty much it doing the processing part. So now after that, they waiting to the next count, the next move, so that, you know, they can move us to our unit and stuff like that. So during this time, this is post-pandemic, so we don't go straight into a unit. We go straight to the hole and quarantine. So you have to quarantine for 14 days.
And that was actually going to be my next question. So because I'm looking at the time period. Again, what year is this?
This is in 21.
2021, so
Correct.
COVID, right? Are you familiar with the show 60 Days In?
Oh yes, I've seen her a couple of times.
Okay. The reason I ask is because in the show they have a period where they're showing what quarantining is like, and a lot of the participants don't even make it past the quarantining stage. Quarantining is what, 14 days?
Correct.
Okay, so 2 weeks. A lot of people can't even make it past that. What is it like for you in that 2 week period of just being in that cell all day, every day?
It's boring just because, like, bro, you don't have no interaction like with anybody. It's just you and your cellie if you have one, and you get the tablets. They do have tablets, so periodically, you got to share rotation with different sides of the wing with the tablets, to make your phone calls, or get the wall phone that they pass on the court. So it could definitely be challenging just because you don't have any interaction. You don't know what's pretty much going on. All you can hear is what's going on across the halls when they open your lunch slot. So when they open that up, that's the only time you hear any interaction. Other than that, it's closed. You don't hear anything. So you just sitting there just with your thoughts in your cellie, probably reading a book or scribbling or doing something. You don't have really access to anything until you get out of quarantine.
Okay. And after quarantine is up, well, first, how long did you actually spend? How much time did you spend in that county?
I spent about 6-7 months.
Okay. So once quarantine is up and you're coming out, tell me, what are you seeing? What are the numbers looking like as far as race wise?
So like when I'm first coming out, like since I'm in the popular proximity where I'm at, it's heavily populated, Hispanics. So I think they house, I want to say at least 1,200. So out of that 1,200, I think like 900 were like Hispanics, and I think I want to say 100 was like blacks, and then the other 100 was others. So when I'm coming out, they had a 48-man tank, 16-man tank, and then they had 8-man tank. So I was housed in a 16-man tank, and it was kind of diverse enough, but it was mostly populated with Hispanics, and I think we just maybe one black in there.
Okay. And being that the majority is Hispanics, take us through the politics. What are the politics like in there?
So the politics in there is, like I said, everywhere you go, the main rule is just respecting others, and pretty much just cleaning up after yourself. Like, we understand, like, this is our house, so you have to treat it as such, so treat it with respect.
Not to cut you off or interrupt, but are the Hispanics, are they hogging, or are they doing any are they not playing fair? Are they basically using the numbers to their advantage?
Nah, I wouldn't even say that, just because like they wasn't really on it. Like, from my experience, I'm not, like I said, once again, I don't like to speak genuinely on everybody else's situation. Everybody else's situation is different, but in my case, it wasn't really like on it. Like, it was just more so like, hey, this is this person, they affiliated with this gang. Hey, this is this person. They had the house rules going on. How we do the TVs as far as just like certain periods of the day. Okay, this is for English. This is for Spanish. This is where we brush our teeth and wash our face. Like, that's what we use that for. So don't wash no clothes in there. We have the stalls and we have the toilets where where you spit at, where you piss, and where you take a shit at, with the shower, how you cover up, when you use the microwave, all that type of stuff.
So there's rules,
right?
And it's just interesting. So I'd like to know what are the consequences like for, let's say, an individual coming in who just chooses not to obey those rules, or just honestly says, hey, I wasn't following rules in the free world, I'm not gonna come back here and follow nobody's rules.
Right. So we got a thing where, like, anybody will tell you, press that button. We press that button, you gotta go. Like, they're gonna tell you, like, you can either volunteer and tell them you don't want to be housed here, you want to move, or they're gonna forcibly get you up out of there. That whether you get smashed or however they do it, you just gotta get up out of there if you don't want to listen.
Have you ever seen a time where an individual honestly just said, you know what, I'm doing what I want to do, and they just, I guess, buck the whole pod?
So you didn't have an option like that. You couldn't buck the whole pod because they was on your ass from the instant. Like I said, they gonna make you press that button. So you gotta think about it. It's you versus the whole pod. So to avoid any interaction of you getting, you know, jumped or whatever and getting put in harm's way, it's best that, you know, you volunteer and just press that button. I've seen people get ran up out the pod just because, you know, they want to be disobedient and defiant and feel like they really are like that. So they feel like they're above everybody else. Can't nobody tell them nothing. So we made them press that button.
Can you dive in a little bit and tell us about that experience or those experiences?
So like that.
Just a little in detail.
So yo, man, we had a guy that came in here. He thought he was above the law, like he was better than everybody else. He couldn't tell nobody, and they was also getting tired of him charging 2 for 1. So 2 for 1 is just like if you was to go to commissary and an item or whatever you got to give them back 2 of those. So they were charging pretty much like 75 cents on the dollar type shit to reimburse them. So if I gave you a honey bun or whatever, you got to give me 2 back. So he was one of them type of guys. So we was already in tune with him. He was already feeling like he was above everybody else. Anything wasn't going his way, he'll try to convince his peers to go against us and, you know, cause chaotic within our pod. And we found out that, you know, he a pedophile. So, you know, that was really all the stakes right there. So got him out of there.
And so that actually, you had 2 points that I wanted to touch on. Before I touch on that, the second one, the pedophilia. So what car is he in? Is he in the Latin car? Or is he black?
Nah, he's in a Latin car. Sure.
So he's actually a part of the majority.
Correct.
So he's a part of the majority. He's doing things that they honestly are having issues with,
right,
for whatever reason, and so they're holding him accountable as well. It's no, you're one of us. Don't worry about it. You can go hit that button too.
Right, yeah, you go press that button, bro.
Okay.
So
did they actually end up? So they did end up putting him on the door or making him push that button?
Yeah, pressed the button, got up out of there. He took the OG with him too. He took the old head with him too. That was also in there for pedophilia.
So paperwork, as far as that goes, upon entering the jail, how long does it take you to get your paperwork?
It all really just depends. Sometimes you can get it within a week, 2 weeks. It's just how quick you can get to the courthouse and get your paperwork.
Because I'm wondering, how long was he in there and how long was the other gentleman? How long were those guys in there before, you know, you guys actually got to look at that paperwork?
So they wasn't in there for long. Like when dude came, you know, he just came from a different unit. So, you know, they put some in there. Every time there's an open bump, they tend to move people in there, whether it's their quarantine days over, they didn't got into an altercation or somewhere, and, you know, they had to get removed from the situation. So our bunks were steady clearing, or just because, you know, you finna leave. You actually finna go to where you finna go. Like, so he was there, I want to say, probably about the max 2 weeks, just because over the period of time we was getting to know him. Word of mouth was coming to us like, yeah, watch out for this guy. He's in here for this. Because some of these guys be already knowing these people. And, you know, if you're a trustee, you come across these people and they let you know, like, hey, you need to watch out for this person. This person, he a rat, he a pedophile, he a rapist. You know, you got all types of things. So word of mouth gets spread very quick.
And so he's only in here for 2 weeks. He's already got like almost a store running where he was doing like 2 for 1s.
Right.
I'm kind of trying to understand the part of where the issue would come into play for the 2 for 1. It seems like business almost. If I give you something, it's like the bank. All right, I'm going to give you this, but I want this in return. You know, these are the guidelines that we set beforehand. You know, this is what we agreed to. All right, here's the agreement. You know, you agree like I agree.
Right.
What's the issue with, you know, the 2 for 1?
People just feel like they get overpriced, and it doesn't make sense to them, because it's just like, bro, like if I borrow one from you, that's what I'm expecting to give back to you. It's not like I went out and got like multiple things, and then this item might be like $2, $3. Now here it is. Instead of me paying you $2 or $3, now I got to pay you like $6 or $7. I have to pay more than what I got. So people tend to take offense to that, but like I said, at the end of the day, it is their business. They choose how to condone it, however they want to condone it. But some people tend to do away from that, just because if it comes down to the store day, some person might not have it like that. So if I get something from you, they just expect you to get that same item back or whatever the case.
Are you seeing people get into a lot of trouble on as far as that goes in that business?
Not really.
Not paying their debts?
Yeah, I've came across people that don't pay their debts. Like I said, when you don't pay your debts, it's tend to like they try to give you a warning. They try to be lenient and give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay, something might have happened. Just as long as you come talk to me and we can form some type of agreement. But you know, as far as like distancing yourself and ghosting and just being about, oh, I'm not gonna pay you, being this tough guy, that's when the issue comes along, because now that person got to go to your rep got to give you a discipline. Sometimes the discipline, it might not even just be them talking to you. It might just be you getting smashed or something like that, going on some type of probation, whatever the case, within that organization. So we try to refrain from that, because it's simple problems, like easy that can be solved.
Okay. And you mentioned something. You mentioned a rep. So we talked about 60 days in. And I know you said you watched the show a little bit. Right. Now, in there, they have what's known as pod bosses, or guys who basically run the pod or call the ultimate shots for the pod. Are you seeing that in the county jail? Is there a pod boss in each pod, or how does that work?
Nah, not where I was at. I would just say not where I was at. In my pod, we didn't have it, just because it was just a mutual thing, and it was heavily populated with the Hispanics. So, you know, they had one guy that they had, you know, that spoke on them, because he was bilingual. Then, you know, you had us blacks or others that were different races. So we pretty much had, I wouldn't say my OG was our rep, but he was somebody that people respected more for him to, you know, be the boss of us. So we go to him if we had any problem.
Okay. And then as far as that, the paperwork actually went, to touch back on those two guys. So you guys get a hold of their paperwork. What's the response?
So once we get the paperwork, you know, we get to looking through it and stuff like that, you know, seeing whether you read it, like what are you actually in here for. So we checking all, you know, all the boxes off, making sure like you straight. Because any negative thing on there or anything that we feel is suspicious or weird.
What are the, not to cut you off, but what are the no-nos, the absolute, this cannot be on your paperwork and you live in this pod?
Oh yeah, the main things is, bro, you can't be a snitch. You can't be a rapist. You cannot be a pedophile, bro. Like, them things, they do not tolerate those things, bro. Those are no-nos off the gate. You any one of those three, you gotta go, bro.
So, let's say, for example, you're a young guy. You're in there for, let's say you did a home invasion, and it turned into a robbery, all right? And it happened to be someone's grandmother, 65-year-old Miss Betty, or 75-year-old Pawpaw, right? And you ended up, you know, unaliving them, or, you know, period. Is there any issues for that guy that's in there, or I mean, do they typically let him make it?
No, it's a respect thing at the end of the day. So, you know, you got older cats in there, and they always telling you, you know, you need to respect your elders and of that nature, the people that came before you. There's definitely some type of discipline on that, because you attacking somebody that's kind of like defenseless, that they can't even protect themselves. So they do kind of got rules against that, against people they can't defend themselves. It's like to a point where it's like bullying. That's like a no tolerant thing as well too. So, of course, you get discipline on it. They'll check you on that.
So if you come in with the paperwork and you're a guy who hurt an elderly person as well, you also definitely might be pushing that button.
Oh, definitely. Facts.
Okay.
You're gonna press that button, bro. That's the number one thing is respect, and they look at that as like a respect thing, and you disrespecting the elders, the people that came before you. So definitely gonna be one of the guys that's gonna press that button. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, people come in there and act all tough, rah. Them guys tell you press that button and you gotta go. You gotta go. It ain't no fighting back. You can try, but you're not gonna win.
Can't beat the mob, huh?
Nah, you can't beat the mob, man. You do beat them, you're gonna be coming out of there on the stretcher to medical, man.
So as far as your paperwork went, did they check your paperwork in the county jail as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I let a couple of people see it. I feel like the people that over someone in importance, I let them check it. All those other cats that wasn't really on there, I ain't let them check, because most of them guys was either smuggled illegals, they was illegals, or they had some type of gun possession or a drug charge or something like that. So, you know, it really didn't matter to them.
Okay. And at any time, are you pushing the blood set? Are you letting it be known that I am a BaggRu?
Yeah.
Okay, so you are. So are there any BaggRus or Bloods in there with you?
Nah, it was mostly like Crips in there. So it was mostly
Wow.
like Crips. Like, it was mostly like Crips. I was pretty much really the only Blood, unless because how the facility was structured. Like, you know, you had you had my pod right here, and you had another pod. So the only way we could communicate was, through sign language. So dudes were telling me like, they was Crip, they were rolling 60s. You feel me? I ain't come across no Bloods really like that. I came across like Latin Kings and MS-13s and I forgot the other one, the Serenos, the Pisces. I was coming across guys like that.
So you are letting it be known that you're Blood, but you're not really. It's not really helping. Yeah, so it's really the black card.
Right. So
okay. Now, so as far as the county goes, are you seeing yourself getting into any fights in the county?
Nah, I really didn't have to, just because the guys, like, I don't want to talk down, but they were kind of sweet. They wasn't really like that. Well, in my pod or in the unit that I was in, I didn't come across those guys like that. Most of the guys that was in there, they was waiting on their time and ready to get up out of there just because they know like this is not their actual house and this is not where they're gonna be living at. This is just temporary until they go to court. So it wasn't that many problems, but I did come across like stories about, people fighting in next door to us and shit like that. They got into a big ass brawl and they had to separate some people and shit like that. So once they got into that big ass brawl, they removed the people that got in the fights and they sent them to another unit. They split them up and then they brought some new cats. Like I remember this was like in the middle of the night, no doubt, bro. Middle of the night, I hear my homeboy Muddy and them. They punching in that hole. You hear them niggas fighting in the stall area, bro, getting his ass beat, type shit. Like we hear it all that night. You can hear it really good through the vents. I'm hearing them getting a tussle. Some of his homeboys, the Migo homeboys, call themselves want to help and shit like that.
So not to interrupt the story, but so is this a race war almost, or a race little brawl? Is this black versus brown?
Pretty much black versus brown, man.
Okay.
So yeah, they punching and stuff like that. So one fight turned to another fight. They all fighting in there, and that's when they split them up. So, but yeah, it definitely does go down in there. Like little petty stuff will spark a fire.
Now, from what I've heard about the Latin car, from what I heard about their politics, I've heard that they don't really do one-on-ones.
Right.
If one of them rides, they all go.
Right.
So is that what you're seeing in there, or is it? Am I wrong? Is it like they'll give you the one and?
Nah, it's more so they'll try to help their homeboys for sure. They'll definitely try to, but in my pod we had it structured like if it's a 1v1, it's a 1v1. It ain't no 2 versus 1 or anything like that. Just because, and it's crazy, just because in my pod, even though we were the minority, the blacks were the minority, it was only 2 of us in there. And we was against pretty much all other 13. There was one Muslim out there and stuff like that. Shout out to my homeboy Sadiq. But other than that, he was Arabic. It was really much us 3 versus the other 13, and they were more terrified of us 3 just because they know we'll set it off in this whole versus they majority, and some of them wasn't gonna be on go like that. Even they head Huncho wouldn't even go like that. So
okay, and so you're seeing the brawl. The next morning, did you hear like the actual news of it and like the details of what happened? Like, did they jump on them, or was it a lot of ones being given out? What are the details of it?
So yeah, they came next day, and because they got cameras in there, so how the cameras are set up, they got them in different like angles. So they got a camera in the corner, like coming in towards like the door, and you can see pretty much everything from the bunks all the way up until to the microwave. So you can't really see past at the microwave. You can't really see past the stall and the shower. So usually that's what they tell you. If you're gonna go catch a fade, you usually go towards like the shower area, so there's no camera. So we got word out that the lieutenant's gonna be coming down here and they're gonna be moving some people